1/4 of the MBTI personalities fall into directing, and directing is the sensing plus the thinking of our functioning pair. They're described as people who are decisive, quick to take action, they value logic and fact, and they really pay attention or close attention to details. An ESTP is very flexible and tolerant. They will take a pragmatic approach to really get some immediate results, and any kind of theory bores them because they really like practical applications, and that's probably one of the most important things to remember about oneself when looking into careers. They will really energetically jump in to solve a problem, and they're going to focus on the here and now. They're very present oriented, spontaneous, they enjoy the moment, they like to be active, and they really learn best by doing. They're hands-on learners. When we look at their potential strengths, one of the things to notice is that they have a very entrepreneurial attitude, which means that they like to create things, and they're really good at being an entrepreneur. They are crisis management people, and they have a great ability to sell and promote. These are the kind of people that could sell sand to someone living in the middle of the desert. They have an adaptability, and they have a great ability also to take risks. When we look at goal setting within the careers, they have a preferred method. An ESTP is going to have very tangible goals that are immediate, and they're going to take advantage of unseen opportunities. Now, these create some obstacles. They may lack an action plan to reach their goals because they really like the present, and they don't seem to have a clear direction in their long-term options. Some tips is to consider your long-term goals and to make sure that there are very specific action plans to get to them. And that's going to create some angst, a little bit of nervousness for an ESTP because they don't really like to look at the future. They prefer to stay in the present. ESTP will gather information about careers by talking to people because they're extroverted, right? But this creates some obstacles because they might miss the long-term potentials and they get overwhelmed with details. So some tips is to explore the long-term lookout for the career. Look at ONET Online. Make sure that you really do some research on the career beyond talking to other people. ESTP is going to make contact through a network of contacts, and they have tons of networking people and professionals. They are able to also present a very detailed picture of an experience. Some of the obstacles, though, is that they spend too much time being unproductive in their networking because they talk too much, which bleeds over into that interview process where they may talk too much. They'll have difficulty answering some hypothetical questions because they like to focus on the present instead of the future. So some tips: make sure that you pause during questions, provide some really productive networking time, create some guidelines while networking to help with this. Prepare ahead of time and look at some hypothetical career questions or interview questions so that way you won't be quite as surprised when they show up in an interview. And don't overwhelm the interviewer with too many details. When we look at how they make decisions, they are very logical and they're very good at weighing the pros and cons, but this is an obstacle as well because they forget the values. And when they start to look at the values as well, because they're focusing too hard on the logic, it creates some angst and some frustration for them, and they start to put off their decisions. So consider what is really important. Maybe keep a guideline or a list of your values nearby and make sure that you set a deadline to make your decisions. Some of the most popular occupations for the ESTP is forestry, pilot, a command specialist, inspector, driver, mechanical engineer, a tax examiner, and even military.